Yo, what's going on guys, it's your boy Meek here, and today I do have a new video for you. So I'm going to be talking to you about the Nexus 4 and what it's like owning one in 2015. So if you didn't know, this phone, I have it right here, came out in around November 2012 and for the time was pretty good. For its time it was a fairly good device. It wasn't completely high end, it wasn't like amazing specs, but it was fairly high end, it was pretty good. So it was made by Google and, well, not manufactured by Google, it was manufactured by LG, but it was kind of designed with Google in mind. It's a Nexus device, so it's running pure stock Android, which I think is the best way of running Android because it's just so smooth, updates come quickly, everything just kind of works. It has a 4.7 inch 12VT by 768 318 ppi screen, and in my opinion looks amazing. Doesn't look as good as if it was 1080p, but it still looks really good. So yeah, the screen is protected with Corning's Gorilla Glass 2, I think, so it's still really good. It's not as good as Gorilla Glass 3, obviously. Gorilla Glass 2 makes it more secure and overall gives it better build quality. Obviously you can't scratch, and well, my one hasn't even smashed yet. So my device is running Android 5.0.1 Lollipop and looks absolutely amazing in my opinion. I think it just looks great and it runs really smoothly, even though it has a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro, which is a fairly old CPU, so a quad core running at 1.5 GHz. It still runs things really well. It runs games really well with the Adreno 320 GPU, and overall I just think it feels like a brand new phone, right? So it's a 4.7 inch screen, like I said before, so it fits in my hands absolutely perfectly. In fact, you'll see video footage of that, B-roll of that, so that's really good. Sorry, I'm looking down for my notes here, I can't remember all this crap. So the front camera is a 1.3 megapixel, I said megahertz last time, megapixel camera, and it's good for selfies, I suppose, if you're really into that, but it's not amazing when it comes down to video. In fact, it's better at video than it is at selfies. And pictures in general, but I certainly wouldn't be using this to make kind of amazing vlogs. In fact, I use this phone to vlog, but I use the rear-facing camera, which is a perfect segue into the rear-facing camera. It's an 8 megapixel camera and it records video at 1080p at 30 fps, and once again it's not the best. In fact, the camera was never really very good for its time, and Nexuses have never really had very good cameras, which is a shame because if they did, then they would be probably the best selling smartphone. So yeah, obviously Sony make better sensors, so when they use the Sony sensors in the iPhones they come out really well, although I don't think they're the best for video, but they're certainly really good for photography. So like I said, this thing does have an 8 megapixel sensor. It also has an amazing flash. So you see that flash, you see the flash before you actually see the camera. It just stands out that much. And it's a really big flash, really good for when you're, especially in Lollipop, where you can just swipe down with 2 fingers, press that button, and you got a freaking torch just walking around like, oh my god, freaking ghost monsters, amazing. But overall, it's pretty good. So overall then, saying overall many times this video, what do I think about owning it in 2015? Well, I think it's still a really, really good smartphone, and I think it can compete with maybe mid-range to high-end phones, like in between there. Obviously, it was a high-end phone. It was just for an older market and for an older kind of, well, put it this way, it wasn't as powerful as it is now. So this thing is 2 years and about 4 or 5 months old, and it still performs like a brand new phone as it did when it first came out. I think it's amazing. I'm glad, and it's thanks to Lollipop that it's able to run all these new apps and it's able to run smoothly, even though it is a fairly old phone. Remember, this thing isn't that old. In everyday terms, 2.5 years to own a phone is not that long. But because people nowadays are always wanting to buy new stuff all the time, like everything has to be new, otherwise they can't use it, it's obviously not as powerful as those phones. Anyway, so in my opinion, this is like the perfect, this represents how I feel about things like this. Sorry for that guys, my camera battery ran out and had to swap it for another one, so that's why the angle is slightly off, because I had to change the camera and everything. So like I was saying before, this kind of represents what I feel about these things, is that you don't have to go out and buy a brand new phone every time. This thing I've had for 1.5 years, so I didn't even have this when it first came out. I bought this used. And it just proves that I don't need you don't need the latest technology. Maybe 2 years, 3 years is great. I'm planning on keeping this for at least another 2.5 years. So hopefully it'll be a 5-year cycle, because the thing is, I use it every day, so it can still be used every day, and I get a good use out of this. I get power using it if I'm literally just full on this and not on nothing else, doing nothing else. I get about a third of a day, half a day, and then if I'm using it kind of here and there, I'm using my camera to record stuff, I'm using my computer to edit stuff, and I'm generally doing other things, maybe gaming or something. And that's when I'm not using my phone, because I'm using other things to accomplish the same thing. Then that is kind of like it means that this thing can step down, and this lasts about maybe between 1 and 3 days. It can be 2 days, it can be 1, it can be 3, either one. But generally, I'd say on average about 2 days. So that's really good, because I just keep it in my bag so I can keep it on standby. That just brings us back to the point that's been floating around at the moment. Why do people own phones? A lot of people use them because they're phones. I mean, what was the phone invented for? For telecommunications, and that's what people do with it, where they text and they phone. But I'm going to be upfront with this. I haven't used this to text in about 6 or 7 months. I simply don't use a phone that much. I use Facebook and email and kind of social media to get in contact with people, especially Facebook with the group chats and stuff, so I can chat along with friends, and it doesn't cost me anything because I have unlimited Wi-Fi, which is the reason I have this phone. I can take it to my dad's and just automatically, within 10 feet of his house, I've got his Wi-Fi already logged in. And then the same with my uncle, the same with my nan. Anyone's house, they give you the Wi-Fi, you should probably be able to get about 5 to 10 feet outside the house and still have the Wi-Fi, and that's what I love about this thing. And any smartphone nowadays, I'm pretty sure every smartphone can do it, is where it automatically connects to the Wi-Fi if it detects it, and it's saved with a pass key, and that's what I love. I just literally use it for that. I don't use it to make phone calls or text or anything. If I need to say get picked up from school, I always email using the school's Wi-Fi on my school iPad. And then just use it that way. I don't generally use the whole telecommunications thing, even though that's what it was designed, to be and to be used for. So overall, guys, this can be the end of the video. I've ranted a whole lot, and I've actually done this video before and ranted so much, and everything was out of focus. If this is out of focus, it will be nowhere near as bad as the other video. So anyway, guys, see you in the next video. Peace.